What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with F1 2017 Career Mode, Season number 3, a season where we're going for the title. That engine power unit is not looking too great, so we'll swap in a new one for qualifying for the Russian Grand Prix. So, to bring you guys up to speed of what's been happening lately, I either accidentally deleted the China episode, or it's just I never recorded it in the first place. But something pretty substantial happened in that episode. I went for a major drag reduction upgrade, and that has actually gone on the car in time for this race. And I think in the last episode as well, I can't entirely remember, I believe I did a chassis upgrade too. So we've got two upgrades on the car for this race, and that should further boost our performance. So really looking forward to this one here in Russia. Better get used to it, guys. There's going to be a bit of Russia races on the channel. You saw my last video was a practice race and my league race, and I think probably tomorrow will be the Russia league race itself. So yeah, it's just how it's worked out. There's been a lot of Russia happening at you know, this point of the year. So we'll try and rush on through. No, that's horrible. Qualifying. Pace as usual, as you come to expect. It's going to be pretty good. We easily make it through to Q3. We decided to go on the ultra soft tyres. It's a one stop around this place anyway, so no point mucking around going on the supers. Alonso was a long way off the pace, 3.1 seconds. I mean, even for him, that's a lot slower than what I'm used to him doing. He's normally around 1.5 to 2 seconds slower, so Alonso, as well as not getting his upgrades, has just had an absolute mare in that qualifying session. But we move on to Q3 now. We're doing 2 runs. I think I have saved a brand new set of ultras for this qualifying run, so we should have 2 stabs at it for this final part of qualifying. But for the race, unfortunately, it will be heavy rain, or at least it says it will be, but we'll see how that goes heading into the race. I've gone for an entirely dry setup. I think it will dry out over the course of the race, but still, we want to qualify well, and so far, it's 7th place, 134.193. That's not the greatest lap in the world. I could probably improve by a few more tenths, and this is actually the first race I did at Russia. This is before I did all the league racing practice, and I know what kind of potential I can get now. I can easily do like low 33s, and that's in an online car. This is the upgraded McLaren, which I think can do low 33. So I think if I did this career mode recording after all the league racing practice, I think I could have got close to a 32, in all honesty. There is so much time to be gained when you sweat out a track for a few days or whatever, you know, tinkering with the setup, getting really intimate with all the corners. That sounds wrong, doesn't it? But just getting to know the corners quite well. There's a lot of time to be found there. But that lap was pretty good in itself, 33.5. That pretty much matches my PB online, what I was doing for league racing practice, and hey, I'll take it. It's 4th place, just over 4 tenths shy of pole position there, set by Valtteri Bottas. Awesome lap. We're ahead of a Red Bull, and we're ahead of the Ferrari of Kimi Räikkönen as well, so definitely nothing really to complain there. So heading into the race, really good foundation. If we can find another couple of places, then we'll be right in the game to get a podium in this Grand Prix. All the timings of, you know, switching on to a different compound of tyre, like whether it be wets or dries, will ultimately decide who wins the race. But that's qualifying, really encouraging. Let's go to the race.
Joining me on this very wet day is a man who's no stranger to driving in miserable conditions. Anthony Davidson, you've driven open cockpit, you've driven sports cars. How does the wet weather experience change between the different disciplines?
Well, I wouldn't say there's much difference, in all honesty. You know, besides the terrifying closing speeds you find in sports cars with the different categories all sharing the same track, driving in the rain is, well, driving in the rain. Of course, the biggest difference between the two is the closed cockpit versus the open cockpit. You get the luxury of staying dry in the sports car, but if your screen ever gets dirty, well, that's a pit stop, not just wiping your visor or pulling away a tear off. But most of the time, you know, they're both as miserable as each other, to be honest.
We're in a better grip position than we were expecting. Let's see if we can hold on to it.
It seems Anthony Davidson is not a fan of wet weather races, and I must concur. I do prefer dry conditions when the grip levels are up and we can afford to push a little bit more. But welcome, guys, to the grid for the Russian Grand Prix, starting in P4. Like I said, after qualifying, good foundation to lay for the race now, where hopefully we can be gunning for the podium, get a bit of retribution after what was a pretty disastrous race in Bahrain, finishing 3rd on track and then getting demoted to 5th through some kind of weird glitch that saw like Romain Grosjean and Lance Stroll setting sub 10-second times to get on the top steps of the podium, but we'll move past that. Hopefully that doesn't affect us today. But here we go, ready for the start of this race, the Russian Grand Prix. 5 red lights. 5 red lights, and away we go. Finally, I mean, every time it loves to hold you for an absolute age, but I think we got away fairly nicely. Holding position now as we go through turn 1, not really a turn in my humble opinion. Turn 2 here is what I consider to be the first real turn, but we go pretty conservative. I'm not going to lie, going into turns 2 and 3, just didn't want to, you know, concede any damage, didn't want to lock up a brake. So easy to do in intermediate conditions when we know that it is so low grip and so easy to lose the car. We go side by side with Hamilton through the fast left-hander, and we overcook it on the next right-hander, and that allows Hamilton and Bottas to get me back. So, yeah, that really good turn 1 and 2 complex for us, where we got in front of Bottas, which is completely outdone by pushing a little bit hard, trying to get around the outside of Hamilton. Now Bottas getting a little bit squirmish through the middle sector. We'll try and hold it around the outside through here. It's not really an overtaking zone, but we'll try and make it work anyway. Bottas really getting worked over here, going defensive through all of these middle sector corners. Bit of contact there as we kind of brush side pods, and again on the exit, Bottas holds firm and holds on to P3. Meanwhile, Vettel is basically stretching his lead in this Grand Prix, a few seconds over Hamilton, and then, yeah, it's a few seconds from Bottas to Hamilton. So we'll see what we can do in a straight line now. This is, as you guys know, a pretty big strength of the McLaren Honda now in a straight line, but didn't really fancy myself for having a big braking lunge into that kind of kink left-hander that eases into a right-hander. Yeah, so many changes of direction there. If you push too hard, especially in these conditions, it is really easy to lock a brake and end up into the outside barriers. But the end of lap 2, or the start of lap 2, sorry, we managed to find our way around the outside of Bottas through turns 2 and 3, and yeah, we basically used the straight line speed OP, I can't believe I'm saying that, of the McLaren to smash past the works Mercedes, and that's us up onto the podium now. But already you can see the rain is starting to ease up. It actually was borderline on heavy rain at the start. There was so much standing water, and the intensity of the rain was quite heavy, but now it's really starting to ease off, and we may see a switch back to the dry tyres in 5-10 laps time, and then from there we'll probably take the supers to the end of the race, so we'll see how that goes. But for the meanwhile, we're just holding station up against Bottas. This is Hamilton going around the outside of Sebastian Vettel through turns 2 and 3. Exact move was what I did to Bottas just a few laps ago, and those guys go side by side really close between the two rivals at the fast left-hander, and Hamilton comes through. So looks like the Mercedes is working a little bit better in these conditions. Same can't be said though for Bottas, as he isn't really making huge inroads on me. I just seem to be getting really nice exits off of the final corner, and that really sets me up for the lap in trying to mount a challenge against Valtteri Bottas. But as you can see, that track is drying out, pushing a little bit further now on these tyres, and I think on that occasion we overstepped the mark just a little bit, exactly like Season 2. I think we had intermediate conditions here, and I was drifting for days in that race. It just continues today. The McLaren Honda still isn't, you know, the most balanced car in the world. We're still lacking a little bit of downforce, and sometimes it just happens. But we're into the pits now for some dry tyres. Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, all, you know, as you were before the pit stops, and I think for us it was a really good stop, so I think we might maintain P3 with Bottas possibly getting held up by Hamilton's first stop. I don't think the crew were really optimized when they serviced the second car, and I think he lost a bit of ground to me. So yeah, from here on in, 19 laps to go, we're just going to push on as best we can, see what the pace is like in the dry, and see if our consistency is good enough to get us towards the front two, who are now squabbling away. So somehow Sebastian Vettel has now got back in front of Lewis Hamilton, so it's a bit of a tit for tat race now, with Lewis Hamilton on the soft compound tyres, whereas Sebastian Vettel on the supers. So the softer compound for Vettel working wonders, gets him back in the lead, and we may see a little bit of a ding-dong fight towards the end with Hamilton's tyres coming into the fray a little bit better. Virtual safety car on lap 14 here. I'm not too sure what the cause of that was, but either way, it gave me a chance to save some fuel, cool down the tyres, and just collect my thoughts and then get going again. Team radio.
Rain is forecast in just over 10 minutes time. Rain in 10 minutes.
Okay, so the rain is going to hit us once again, but going back to the battle with Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton, I believe Sebastian's tyres may go off towards the end with his supers and Hamilton with his softs. I think there might be a little bit of a ding-dong battle happening towards the end of the race if they can stay fairly close together. That was Lance Stroll going very slowly through the third sector there, and I was hoping that was Lewis Hamilton or one of the two leaders in front of me, because there were absolutely no back markers around us, but wasn't the case, and we still hold on to third. This is Carlos Sainz with an engine failure, out of the race, and just like in yesterday's Mexican Grand Prix, Renault they're losing it in terms of reliability. It's not a good time for them right now. But getting back to our race now on lap 19, we're just pressing on. There's no chance of us making a challenge for the top two. They're basically in another league today, but the fact that we were able to get in front of Bottas is pretty encouraging. You know, we just have enough pace over him in the right areas to keep him behind, and if we can just manage to secure this podium, that would be a really good result in today's Grand Prix. Valtteri goes to the inside as we head into the middle sector now. I'll leave him space on the inside, but there's absolutely no way he can really mount a challenge by taking that line. He has to basically shove me out of the way and hope that he gets the inside for the next left-hander, or wait for another part of the circuit, but he's not going to overtake me into the third sector. His best chance might be into turn one, where I have to leave him space on the inside, but I'm smarter than that. I might just cover the inside and make him go around the long way. So for Bottas, it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle, especially now that he's on the soft compound tyres. Well, he's been on them the whole time. The rain is now starting to set in now. That the engineer was warning us about, but I don't feel like we'll see a switch to intermediate tyres. Bottas up the inside there in the middle sector. Was not expecting him to get past here, and this could potentially be his final chance to get on the podium. Round the outside, we try and hold it in these very slippery conditions in the dying laps of this race. Back up the inside into the middle sector, and I think this is going to be ultimately a drag race as we head on to the back straight here with the DRS. Looks like for us it's going to be us who gets it, so that is huge. That's massive. We run side by side, we're in rich revs, we're doing absolutely everything we can to mount a challenge towards Bottas, and in the end I don't think he was even running in rich revs, which is really disappointing on his front. He lost the position to Verstappen, and now he's up in a P4, and he's probably going to be more threatening than what Bottas ever was on his super soft tyres with that Red Bull. So yeah, just one lap to go. We've just got to hold it together for half a lap, and we'll basically take home 15 points. But this is the battle I was looking forward to. Lewis Hamilton versus Sebastian Vettel. I told you guys that Vettel's tyres may go off a little bit quicker than Hamilton's, given that he was on the softer compounder tyre, but here he goes. Slipstream, DRS, rich revs, and around the outside, Hamilton goes, and this is for the lead of the race. There's literally only 3 or 4 corners left, and Hamilton gets it. I don't see any way that Sebastian Vettel can get this back, and no, he doesn't. As we head through the final couple of corners, Lewis Hamilton steals the race victory with just a few corners to go in this Russian Grand Prix, and that could prove very crucial for his championship. He's been running behind the Ferraris all season long. It's only four races, but that's huge for his championship. That's huge for us. Another podium.
Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you pulled through. Thank you.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today.
So there we go, chaps. Lewis Hamilton has won the Russian Grand Prix. I'm not going to lie, when I was actually driving this myself, I was so shocked to see his name pop up when the race leader crossed the line to win the race. Because I was closely following their battle every so often, every couple of laps I was crossing back to them to see what they were doing in the replay cams, and yeah, he literally just stole it in the final, 30 seconds of the race. It really did catch me by surprise, so yeah, it was actually really interesting as well to see the yo-yo effect between both the Mercedes and the Ferrari over the course of the race, and in all honesty, I think Lewis could have made it a lot easier for himself by just pitting onto the supers and maintaining the lead for the rest of the Grand Prix, but maybe Ferrari have done some tyre wear upgrades, or maybe just the base Ferrari is better on its tyres than the Mercedes, as we see in real life, at least earlier on in the 2017 season. But for us, third place, we lose the lead of the driver standings just by 2 points, so we're still in the hunt, that's for sure, but as long as we can keep up these podiums, there's always going to be the odd race where the AI can get flustered or even have reliability issues. We'll probably have our own set of issues over the course of the season as well. There just might be tracks where we're just not quick, maybe some of the downforce heavy circuits, but yeah, that's what the standings looks like at the moment. It's, Fernando down in 17th place. Hopefully he can get his first point soon. Still, I cannot believe that the upgrade glitch for Fernando still exists. We're 2 months into the game, maybe even more, and this is still a thing, which is really, really frustrating on a team perspective, that I don't have a teammate to push me along further in these races and just get that rivalry going. But in terms of resource points, we have just under 700 with taking the bonuses into consideration after the next screen. That should push us over 700, which should see us being able to upgrade the downforce once again. And in terms of the reputation, I don't know why we lost so much reputation among all the teams apart from Sauber. A little bit weird there. Honestly, I don't know. I would understand if I took someone out or made contact or something, but the fact that all the teams were unhappy with that was a little bit puzzling. But either way, we're going to upgrade the drag reduction system, and we're going to work towards getting the major and ultimate upgrades, as you can see there, in the way of the downforce at the bottom of that chart there. So that's been this Grand Prix for today. Hopefully you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2017 videos. The next race, I believe, will be the Spanish Grand Prix. I'm not too sure how we're going to go there. It's really heavy in the way of downforce, and that's something that the McLaren kind of lacks, but I'm going to hopefully do my best, get as many points as we can, and then heading into Monaco, you bet we're going to go for that race win again. Until then, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.